What happens when a CEO grills burgers undercover and sees a manager pocketing tips that weren't theirs? Lucas O'Connor stood on the edge of the parking lot just after sunrise, staring at the matte black food truck with the faded flame logo. It was parked behind a gas station off Route 6, the smallest of the 8 mobile kitchens he owned. He'd bought the company 6 years ago from a retiring couple and turned it into a chain 8 food trucks, each in a different city, all under one brand. He rarely visited the trucks himself. District managers sent in weekly reports, and the numbers looked fine. But something had been off lately. Sales from this location were dropping fast. Staff turnover was high. And the last straw? A 1-star review from a customer who claimed the cook looked terrified, and the manager tossed their money in his own pocket. Lucas didn't ignore red flags. He acted. He wore a beard, thick glasses, and a trucker cap pulled low. His name tag read Danny. Nobody at this truck had met him before, and with how big the company had gotten, almost nobody at ground level knew what he looked like. That was intentional. Lucas had told the district manager he wanted to test a new hire program, send a trainee to shadow for a week. The district manager agreed. No one suspected a thing. As he stepped up to the food truck, he caught the first scent of grilled onions and meat. The back door swung open. "Yo, you Danny?" a voice called. A tall guy in his late 20s stepped out. His name tag said Trevor. He wore sunglasses even though the sun hadn't fully risen yet. "Yeah," Lucas said, adjusting his cap. "First day." Trevor barely looked at him. "Cool. Don't get in my way." He walked off toward a silver sedan, popped the trunk, pulled out a box of buns, and tossed them at Lucas's feet. "Put those in the bread bin." Inside the truck, it was hot, louder than he expected. A young girl with a messy ponytail was already chopping tomatoes at lightning speed. "Hey, you must be Danny," she said, smiling. "I'm Hailey. I'm on prep today." Lucas nodded. "Nice to meet you." She worked fast and clean, clearly knew what she was doing. "Watch your step," she said. "That grill gets crazy hot." Trevor came back inside, grabbed a pad, and muttered, "Let's open up." The first customers trickled in around 8. Lucas was thrown on the grill immediately. No training. No guidance. Just watch Hailey and don't mess up. By noon, the line was 20 deep. Sweat dripped down his neck as he flipped patties and tried not to burn anything. Trevor barked orders over the chaos. "Double cheese, no onions." "Move faster, Danny." Lucas kept his head down and worked. He noticed something strange. Every time a customer dropped cash in the tip jar, Trevor would swing by, grab a handful, and stuff it into his pocket. Lucas squinted through the steam. It wasn't subtle. He did it 3 times in 1 hour. Hailey noticed too. "Hey, Trevor," she said quietly when they had a moment. "I thought we were splitting tips again this week." Trevor leaned in close to her ear. "Don't worry about it." "But," I said, "don't worry about it." She bit her lip and went back to slicing lettuce. Lucas stayed silent, watching. He'd seen enough to know something was wrong, but he needed more. The next day, he asked Hailey during downtime, "Does Trevor always handle the tips?" She looked nervous. "Yeah, usually says he'll count them at the end and split it. But I don't think that's been happening lately." Lucas nodded. "How long you been working here?" 2 years, she said. "I love it. I used to. Before. Well, before Trevor took over. The last manager quit. She was great." "Why'd she quit?" Hailey hesitated. Said she couldn't deal with the stress anymore. "But I think Trevor pushed her out. He was just a cook before. Then suddenly he's running the place." Lucas grilled burgers silently the rest of the shift, his chest tight. Hailey hustled all day, never complained. She offered water to a customer who looked faint, even paid for it herself. And when an older man came back with a wrong order, she apologized and fixed it without hesitation, even though Trevor told her not to. That night, Lucas sat in his motel room, staring at his notes. He had a good worker here, and a bad one in charge. He had to see how far it went. By midweek, Lucas had learned the rhythms of the truck. The morning rush was relentless, the lunch crowd even worse, and the late afternoon was a dead crawl where exhaustion hung in the air like grease. The truck ran with just 3 people, sometimes only 2 when someone called out. No floaters, no relief staff. Hailey clocked nearly 9 hours straight every day with no real breaks, only stepping outside to breathe when the line finally thinned. Lucas noticed how Trevor disappeared into the sedan for extended periods during those lulls, sometimes returning with a vape pen, other times just scrolling on his phone behind the counter, while Hailey wiped down surfaces and prepped for the next wave. She never asked for help. She just kept working. On Thursday, they were down a person. The third worker, Jamal, had texted in sick. Hailey had to cover register and prep while Lucas handled the grill. Trevor didn't adjust anything. No schedule change, no call in for backup. Just shrugged and said, "We'll manage." By noon, the line stretched well into the gas station lot. Lucas flipped 2 patties, glanced over his shoulder, and saw Hailey juggling 3 orders while trying to explain the drink options to an elderly woman who couldn't hear well. "Can you give me a hand with this?" she called to Trevor, who was leaning against the back wall, sipping a soda. He didn't move. "I'm the manager. I don't run register." Lucas handed off the patties to the window and stepped over. "I got this one." The woman smiled faintly and nodded. Lucas walked her through the options, took her order, and helped her carry the tray to a nearby bench. When he returned, Hailey whispered, "Thanks. He never helps unless someone's watching." Lucas nodded once. His stomach was already churning. Later that afternoon, a new issue surfaced. A delivery van rolled up with their weekly supply drop. The driver knocked on the side of the truck. "You guys Trevor's team?" he asked. Lucas nodded. The man handed over a receipt. "You're short on cheese, fries, and soda syrup." Again. Hailey took the slip and scanned it. "We ordered 3 cases of fries. Warehouse says you got 1. That's all I've got on the truck." Lucas noticed Hailey's jaw clench. "This keeps happening," she said. "Every week we're getting less than we order." The driver shrugged. "All I know is what's on the manifest." He turned and left. Trevor finally emerged from the back. "What's the problem now?" Hailey held up the slip. "We're missing half the order again." Trevor barely glanced at it. "Then don't screw up inventory next time." "I didn't," she started, then stopped. Her voice dropped. "I double-checked everything Monday." "I know what I ordered." Trevor walked past her. "I'll deal with it." Lucas watched him tuck the slip into his pocket and head outside. He didn't speak to the driver, didn't make a call, just stood by his car and scrolled his phone. That night, Lucas stayed behind after everyone else left. He told Trevor he'd clean the grill, said he wanted to learn how to close properly. Trevor was fine with that. He left early without hesitation. With the truck empty, Lucas opened the storage bins and took inventory himself. The numbers didn't match what was on the printed order sheets. He counted the soda syrups, only 3 jugs when 5 were listed. Fries were even worse. He found only 1 unopened case. He cross-referenced the order history on the kitchen tablet. Hailey had entered the right quantities, but the approved orders, the ones signed off by the manager, had been altered. Smaller amounts, all approved under Trevor's login. Lucas narrowed his eyes. Either Trevor was reducing orders intentionally, or someone was intercepting them. Either way, it wasn't a mistake. He shut off the lights and locked up. His mind was racing. The next morning, he arrived early. Hailey was already there, lugging a bucket of thawed chicken from the cooler. "You always start this early?" he asked. "Only when I know we're low on stock," she said, brushing a hair from her face with the back of her wrist. "I try to prep extra just in case we run out mid-rush." "You get paid for the extra time?" She shook her head. "I clock in when Trevor tells me to. Usually not till 8. Lucas didn't respond. He felt a familiar surge of anger building beneath his ribs. During the lunch rush, a woman in a navy blazer placed an order, then stepped back to wait. Her teenage son stood beside her, glancing around. "Excuse me," she said after a few minutes. "I just saw your manager take cash out of the register. Is that how you handle tips?" Lucas looked up. Where did you see that? She pointed toward the side window. Lucas stepped out and found Trevor behind the truck, holding a wad of bills, trying to light a cigarette with one hand while counting with the other. Lucas walked up. You pulled that from the register? Trevor clicked the lighter. It's tip money. The register doesn't separate tips. Trevor gave him a look. Mind your business, new guy. Lucas stepped closer. It is my business. Trevor tossed the cigarette. Annoyed. Look, these people don't care. They're lucky to have a job. Half of them wouldn't last a day without me running this place. Lucas froze. Trevor kept going. Hailey? She's soft. Always whining about fairness. This isn't a daycare. It's a food truck. You want to make it, you hustle. You don't whine. Lucas didn't speak. Not yet. Instead, he turned and walked back inside. Hailey was cleaning a spill near the fryer, her hands moving fast, her shoulders tight. When's the last time you had a day off? He asked. She glanced up, surprised. Last Sunday. But the week before that I worked straight through. You ever asked for time? Yeah. Trevor said we're short-staffed. Told me if I wanted time off I should find someone to cover. Did you? No one left to ask, she said. 2 people quit last month. Lucas nodded once. After lunch, take a break. I'll cover. She looked uncertain. You sure? Yeah. When she stepped out, Lucas took over the window. A pair of regulars came up, a young couple who clearly knew the routine. Trevor here? The guy asked. He stepped out. Good, the woman said. Last week he told my boyfriend to stop being cheap when he didn't tip enough. Just saying, that guy's got no business in customer service. Lucas thanked them and handed over their food. He kept his face neutral, but the decision was already made. At closing, he waited until both Hailey and Trevor were present. He stood between them at the prep counter, still wearing the grease-stained apron. I'm not Danny, he said. My name's Lucas O'Connor. I own this company. Trevor laughed once, sharp and confused. What? I've been here all week. Watching. Listening. Hailey said nothing. Her face had gone pale. Lucas continued. Trevor, you've been stealing from the tip jar. You've altered inventory orders. You've overworked your staff, denied breaks, and created a toxic environment. I have every reason to fire you and no reason not to. Trevor's expression shifted from disbelief to defiance. You gonna take her side over mine? She's a prep cook with attitude. Lucas didn't raise his voice. She's the reason this truck hasn't collapsed. You're done here. Effective immediately. Trevor opened his mouth but closed it again when he saw the look in Lucas's eyes. Lucas turned to Hailey. You're not working tomorrow. You're taking 2 days off, paid. After that, we'll talk about a promotion. She blinked. Wait, what? Full-time manager. If you want it. With proper support. And backup staff. I'm restructuring this entire operation. Starting with this truck. She nodded slowly, like her brain was playing catch-up. I just need one thing from you tonight, Lucas said. Lock the door behind Trevor when he leaves. Trevor stood frozen for a moment, then grabbed his keys and left without a word. Hailey watched from the window until his car disappeared. Lucas exhaled. The truck was quiet now, but the real work was just beginning. The following morning, Lucas arrived just before the sun crested over the gas station roof. The truck door was still locked. He stood quietly near the back, sipping a coffee, watching the slow trickle of traffic on the road and the faint flicker of neon from the convenience store next door. At 6:51, Hailey pulled into the lot, parking her compact car at a crooked angle. She stepped out slowly, her hair still damp from a rushed shower, tote bag slung over one shoulder. She looked around and spotted him. I wasn't sure you'd actually show up, she said, voice low, unreadable. Lucas gave a small nod. I said we'd talk today. She unlocked the truck and climbed inside, flicking on lights and fans. The dull hum of the refrigerator kicked in. Lucas followed her in, setting his coffee beside the prep station. I didn't sleep much, Hailey admitted, pulling on gloves. Still trying to process all of it. I figured, Lucas said, watching her grab a fresh cutting board from the rack. That's why I'm not throwing everything at you at once. She paused. You meant it? About the promotion. I don't hand those out lightly, he said. But you've earned the right to run a clean operation and to be supported while doing it. She didn't respond right away, just started slicing through a bag of cucumbers in smooth, practiced motions. Lucas leaned against the prep counter. You'd need training on scheduling, inventory, the ordering system. Real training. Not just being handed the keys and told to figure it out. I can do that, she said quickly, then hesitated. I think I can. I just don't want to end up like the last manager. Burned out, pushed out. That won't happen, Lucas said. We're putting a system in place to prevent it. There was a pause, filled only by the sound of the knife hitting the board. You said we'd be getting support, Hailey said. Is that just talk? Or are you actually sending someone? I've already reassigned a floater from the next district over, Lucas said. Name's Carla. She'll be here tomorrow and stay through the weekend. After that, we rotate helping until we fill the open slots permanently. Hailey nodded slowly, her face unreadable. Lucas glanced at the clock. You're still short-handed today. I'll work the grill again if you're okay with that. You're the boss, she said, almost smiling. But yeah, I'd appreciate it. They prepped in silence for a few minutes. Then she spoke again. Yesterday, after you told Trevor he was done, I was scared he'd show up anyway. Try to cause trouble. He won't, Lucas said. I already filed the paperwork to remove his access and flagged him with HR. If he comes back, you call me. Or the police. Hailey nodded, jaw set. Customers started arriving around 7:30. Word must have spread because a few regulars looked surprised to see Lucas still behind the grill. I thought you were just shadowing, one of them said as Lucas handed over a breakfast wrap. Turns out I had a few things to learn, Lucas replied. By mid-morning, the flow had steadied. Orders came through, tickets printed, and Lucas moved through the motions without needing to be told. Hailey handled the register and side station, and for the first time since Lucas had arrived, there was no tension behind the counter. No raised voices. No dismissive glances. Just focused work. Around 10, a silver truck pulled into the lot and parked crookedly across two spots. A man stepped out, broad-shouldered, shaved head, sleeves rolled up to reveal forearms covered in tattoos. He walked straight to the truck window. Where's Trevor? He asked, squinting at Hailey. Lucas reached the window first. Not here. The man frowned. He told me to swing by today. Said he'd sell me bulk fries off the back. Lucas didn't blink. You a restaurant owner? Yeah. Got a trailer out in Quincy. He said I could grab a case or two cheap. You guys always overstock, right? Hailey had gone still. Lucas stepped fully into view. Fries aren't for sale. And Trevor no longer works here. The man raised his hands slightly. All right. Guess he didn't tell me that part. Lucas didn't say another word. The man's eyes flicked between Lucas and Hailey. Then he turned and walked back to his truck without arguing. Hailey turned back to the prep counter, face tight. He was selling stock out the back? Apparently, Lucas said, pulling out his phone. I'll deal with it. He stepped outside, made the call to corporate security, and relayed the truck's plates. It was more than just employee misconduct now. Inventory theft, unauthorized sales, and possibly more. The tip skimming had been the surface. When he returned to the truck, Hailey was wiping down the counter. She didn't ask what he'd done. She didn't need to. Around noon, a woman in a black polo and clipboard knocked on the side window. Hailey opened it cautiously. Inspection, the woman said, flashing a laminated badge. Routine health check. Lucas stepped forward. Come on in. The inspector climbed aboard and began moving through the stations. She checked temps, looked inside coolers, asked to see cleaning logs. Hailey handed over the sheet. Lucas noticed the log had been irregular before Trevor's handwriting on multiple days, often with numbers written in before the truck even opened. But the last 2 days were accurate, clean, updated by Hailey. The inspector nodded, flipping through. You've got a few gaps here, she said, tapping the sheet. But your current records look solid. Food temps are within range. No cross-contamination. She walked to the back, pointed to a grease trap. This still backed up? Hailey looked confused. It was fine yesterday. Lucas stepped over and opened the latch. The smell hit instantly, rank, sour, heavy with buildup. This should have been cleaned weekly, the inspector said. Minimum. Lucas nodded. It will be. Starting today. She wrote something on her clipboard. It's not a shutdown issue, but I'll be back in 2 weeks. If it's not fixed, then you risk a citation. When the inspector left, Lucas turned to Hailey. Did you know about that? Her face was flushed. No. Trevor handled the truck maintenance. He said he did that stuff on Sundays. Lucas took a deep breath. From now on, you'll have a checklist. Every maintenance task, every supply, every log. You'll sign off only when it's done. Nothing gets skipped? She nodded. And I'm not just handing that to you, he added. You'll get trained on what each item means. I won't leave you guessing. The lunch rush hit fast. A group of construction workers pulled up in a white van, followed by a family of 5. Lucas worked the grill without pause. Hailey moved between the register and drink station like she was running a marathon. Halfway through, one of the workers leaned out the window. You the new manager? He asked Hailey. She hesitated. I guess I am. Good, he said. Food's better. Service is actually friendly again. Keep it up. She smiled genuinely this time, then turned back to fill another drink. After the last tray was handed off, she collapsed onto the cooler bench in the back, wiping her forehead with a rag. Lucas handed her a bottle of water. You're doing good work. She didn't look up. I've done this job for so long, I forgot it could feel different. Lucas sat across from her on a crate. You've got 2 interviews to run tomorrow. Carla will help. We've got resumes from 2 former employees who left when Trevor took over. She looked up now. They want to come back? They heard he's gone. That's all it took. She let out a breath that was half laugh, half disbelief. Lucas stood. I'll be off-site tomorrow, but I'll check in. Hailey nodded. Thanks for not just walking away after seeing how bad it was. Lucas paused at the door. I used to think if the trucks were profitable, they were fine. I was wrong. That won't happen again. He stepped into the sunlight, the door swinging shut behind him. Inside, Hailey stood at the window watching the next car pull up. She reached for a pen, ready to take the order. The next week, Lucas returned to the truck with no disguise. No cap, no glasses, no apron. Just himself, button-down shirt, clipboard in hand, and a quiet determination under his collar. The air was heavy with late summer heat, and the scent of grilled meat drifted from the lot before he even reached the truck. Through the side window, he spotted Hailey pacing with a notepad, nodding while a young man in a black t-shirt struggled awkwardly with the register system. Carla stood beside him, pointing at the screen, her voice calm but firm. There was tension in the way the new guy's shoulders hunched, but Lucas could see the rhythm forming, not perfect, but promising. He stepped around to the side and waited until Hailey caught sight of him. She opened the door with a quick push and waved him up. Morning, she said, voice sharper now, more assured. We're still in training mode. Just got through breakfast. Lucas climbed in and glanced around. The surfaces gleamed, the prep trays were neatly restocked, and the checklist taped beside the fridge had fresh initials beside each task, timed to the minute. You're running a tight setup, he said. We're trying, she replied. Still short one person, so Carla's helping until we finish onboarding. Lucas watched the new hire fumble a lid before catching it mid-air and letting out a nervous laugh. Name? Luis, Hailey said. He's green, but he listens. First guy I've seen in a while who doesn't act like he already knows everything. Lucas nodded once, then pulled out a folded schedule from his clipboard. You've got 2 more interviews tomorrow. If either of them work out, you'll have a full crew by next week, assuming they pass background and training. Hailey leaned against the side fridge. We'll make it work. I've already mapped out the split shifts. Lucas studied her for a moment. No circles under her eyes today. No hesitation in her movements. There was still exhaustion, but it was the kind that came from building something, not surviving it. "You look different than you did last week," he said. "I feel different," she replied. "Still tired. But it's not the same kind of tired." Lucas turned to Carla, who was now walking the new hire through the closing checklist. "You sticking around through the weekend?" he asked. Carla nodded. "Yeah. She's got the bones of a system here. Just needs support to lock it in." Hailey stepped over to the fryer station, checking the oil timer. "I've been keeping the logs updated in real time. Temp checks every 2 hours, grease trap every 3 days. We're not getting flagged again." "Good," Lucas said. "And how are the customers?" Hailey didn't answer immediately. Instead, she grabbed a receipt from the tip jar and flipped it over. "Guy came through yesterday. Said he used to avoid us entirely. Told me the old manager once told him to pay properly or go somewhere else." Lucas felt his jaw tighten. "That happen often?" "More than I realized," she said. "I've had to undo a lot of damage, but they're starting to come back." He looked toward the window. A woman in a blue dress stood in line with 2 kids, pointing toward the chalkboard menu. The kids laughed at something she said, and the woman smiled back. Lucas turned to Hailey. "You document everything?" "Yeah," she said. "I've got photos, timestamps, even customer comment cards." Carla helped set it up. Carla nodded. "We're building a monthly report format. Standard metrics, customer feedback, staff hours, supply usage." She's doing the math herself. Lucas raised an eyebrow. "You're doing the numbers?" Hailey shrugged. "I figured if I'm going to run this place, I should understand where the money's going. Not just guess." "Smart," Lucas said. "Most people in your position just react. You're getting ahead of it." Hailey crossed her arms. "I don't want to just survive the job. I want to own it. If I ever hand this truck off to someone else, I want to give them something better than what I got." Lucas smiled faintly. Then his phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen. A text from the warehouse manager found 2 cases of fries meant for Quincy Food Trailer. Matched to Trevor's old order log. "Thought you'd want to know." Lucas slid the phone back into his pocket without replying. "We're still cleaning up the mess he left," he said quietly. "But you've already brought this place back faster than I expected." Hailey didn't respond right away. "Then, do you think he was stealing from the warehouse too? Or just rerouting product?" "We'll never know the full extent," Lucas said. "But we're tightening every process now. Scanned logs, locked inventory, manager-level purchase approvals." She nodded. "Good." Luis dropped a tray of napkins, and Carla leaned down to help him gather them without missing a beat in her instructions. Hailey gave a small nod, then turned back to Lucas. "I've been thinking about something," she said. "Go on. You said you used to just look at the numbers. Let the reports tell the story." "I did," Lucas admitted. "And now, I don't trust filtered stories anymore," he said. "I trust what I see, what I feel when I walk into one of these trucks." Hailey studied him. "You ever think about doing this for the others? Going in, seeing for yourself?" Lucas leaned on the prep counter. "That's the plan," he said. "One truck at a time. No more assumptions. I've been distant too long." She gave a short nod, then looked toward the window. "You think they'll listen? The other managers?" "They'll have to," Lucas said, "because the standard's changing." "And you set the tone here." The next customer stepped up. Hailey moved to the register, her back straight, voice steady. She took the order, passed the ticket, and turned to Luis. 2 chicken wraps, 1 no lettuce. "Watch the grill time." Luis gave a quick nod and got to work. Lucas stepped down from the truck and stood on the pavement, watching the scene unfold through the window. The sun was higher now, casting sharp reflections across the chrome siding. A breeze stirred the paper napkin bin. The line kept moving. He pulled out his phone and opened a new note. "Standardized new manager training based on Hailey's model," he typed. "Include daily maintenance checks, customer feedback logs, rotating support staff, metrics reporting." Then he paused, added one more line. On-site presence. Mandatory quarterly. He slipped the phone away and walked toward his car. Behind him, the food truck kept running, not just operating, but breathing differently. Stronger, clearer, real.